Well, today is not going so well, although it really could be worse. So my van needs some maintenance, and this is something that I've been avoiding doing myself, but I'm going to try to tackle this one for a few reasons. The only problem is, the more I look at this job, the more I realize that I am not prepared to get in and do this work. Now, all I need are new spark plugs, but unfortunately, not only do I have this cover that I have to remove to get access to them, but I also have to pull off the air box and some piping and some vacuum lines. So this is going to be a little bit harder than it would be on an older car, at least the cars that I've been used to working on. That's not my only problem though. Being that this is a newer engine, I thought I'd better just take a look at the engine bay here and see if there's anything that's going to trip me up. And I see two things right off the bat. One that's pretty dirty, and I'm worried that if I don't vacuum this off, I might have some things that fall down into the open cylinder heads when I take the plugs out. And the other thing is, I don't think I have the right tools to actually remove and replace the spark plugs. So that's brought me here to Walmart to try to solve at least one of those problems. I have not owned a vacuum cleaner in more than 15 years, so this is a good time to buy one, I think. Although I've never felt a need to have a vacuum cleaner. I've always just used a brush, and it's worked fine. But I found this little tiny handheld one, and I'm charging it up right now. There's some nice things about this. One, it was only about 25 bucks. I think that may be a little bit overpriced for it, but I don't have a lot of options for something like this. But it does charge with USB, so that's a good thing. And it does seem to work pretty well. It was mostly charged when I picked it up, and it does seem to have a pretty good amount of suction, so it should be able to clean off any debris before I get into the engine bay there. And it came with a couple of attachments. It has a little brush attachment here, and also a long snoot attachment, which I think is probably going to help me when I get to the engine area. But this will be a good thing. I'm sure I will find uses for it. And yeah, a lot of people have told me that I should have a vacuum already, so hey, now I have a vacuum. Now, unfortunately, a vacuum cleaner is not the only thing that I need. I also need some tools to remove and replace the spark plugs. And in looking through my couple little bags of tools that I have here, I don't have a real good set. I just have some tools that I have bought over the years. At one time I had a real nice mechanics tool set. That's back when I had a house, but when my house got broke into, that's one of the things that they took. So it's left me with just a bunch of random tools, and in looking through the tools that I have here, I don't even have what I thought I had on hand. I know I need a special spark plug socket, which has disappeared somehow. And I also need an extension for that socket, which I thought I had, but I cannot find. I think somebody borrowed one from me and didn't return it. So there's at least two things that I'm going to have to buy that I didn't think I was going to have to buy. But I also need to buy a special torque wrench to put the socket in. Now, some people would say that you don't need one, but with these newer vehicles, how they're making them now, it's really important to make sure that you torque the spark plugs in place properly, or there could be some problems. Either they could get stuck or they could just rattle out. And both of those things are not a problem that I want to deal with in the future. So I think I'm going to have to buy some tools now. And unfortunately, Walmart took about an hour for me to buy this. This was under lock and key, so I had to wait around for quite a while in there for somebody to come over and unlock this, which means the day's almost over. So it's kind of a little bit annoying there. Oh well, I'm not upset of the Walmart people. I know they had a lot going on in there. This Walmart, they're redoing, so things are even worse off than they usually are in there. But I looked around for the tools that I need to buy in there, and they didn't sell them. So that means I'm going to have to drive to the next town over if I want to go to Harbor Freight, which is probably a better place to buy tools anyway. But that also eats into the time of the day here. So what I did was I just went ahead and made myself a cup of coffee, and I'm just resolved to drive across town, well, actually drive to the next town over, to get to Harbor Freight, to get the tools that I need to do the job. The question is, am I going to have enough light left today to actually get the job done? Probably not, but it's probably a good idea just to go ahead and get the tools I need so that I can get the job done whenever I have the weather and the light to do it. Oh, the forecast is calling for rain any moment now, but it doesn't really look like it, except maybe off in that direction. It looks a little dark, so maybe something's going to blow in quickly. The wind is picking up, so I'm just taking a minute here to warm up the van. Before I drive anywhere, I seem to just need to let the van warm up the temperature. Seems to run a little bit better when I do that. Also, the transmission works a whole lot better. It struggles mightily unless I let it fully warm up the temperature. So just taking a minute to do that. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear the engine idling right now, but it's definitely not idling as smoothly as it should be, or it could be. Take your pick there. But I'm hoping that just swapping out the new spark plugs is going to fix that idle problem. My mileage has been suffering too, so it's probably time just to replace the spark plugs. These are platinum spark plugs that they use in these engines, and they have a lifespan of between 80,000 to 100,000 miles, and I'm right at 98,000 miles right now, so it's due time to replace them. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they do the trick, although there's lots of other things that are probably needing replacement at this point. So I'm just starting off with the spark plugs because they're kind of the easiest thing for me to do right now, and being that they are due to be replaced, I'm just crossing my fingers hoping that they do the trick. This is a small Harbor Freight, so I'm hoping they have what I need. I did check online first before driving all the way out here. That was a good 20-some minutes of a drive out here. So I'm hoping that they have what I need. Let's go in and see if we can get everything together. Good news, everyone. They had everything that I needed. So that was $40 worth of stuff. I was kind of hoping to get out of there for a little less, but I did buy one thing that wasn't exactly on my list, which is a big magnet. It was only $5, and I need this for something else, so I bought that while I was in there. I did opt for the least expensive torque wrench that they had for sale, although they've got a bunch of different torque wrench options. They have a very cool option that I'd never heard about before today. I actually had read about it on some research, deciding on which torque wrench I was going to buy. So I looked at it while I was in there. I was double the price of this old-fashioned style torque wrench. It's an electronic torque wrench converter that you can use on any standard wrench that you already own. And it seems like a really cool option, but double the price. It does take batteries. And so I just decided to go for the cheaper option. I think that this one's going to be just fine for my needs. I also bought the spark plug socket that I needed. So this has a little rubber grommet in it that would hold the spark plug in place. So when you pop the spark plug up in there, it'll grab onto the end and doesn't let the spark plug drop out. That's pretty important because these spark plugs, I already bought the spark plugs this morning at the auto parts store before I went to Walmart and spent my hour plus at Walmart. So the spark plugs come with a gap on them from the factory, and that gap is important. That's set by the factory for the manufacturer's specifications, and that's the one thing I didn't buy here, is I didn't buy a little spark plug gap checker, and that's because these kind of more expensive spark plugs come with this little sleeve that hopefully means if somebody didn't pull this out of the box and out of the sleeve and then drop it, that gap should be set correctly directly from the factory. So it's one little thing I didn't buy here that I'm sure some people are going to say that I should have bought, but I'm fairly confident that these are going to be set just fine, and I don't have anything to worry about. These are very expensive. These are about 12 bucks a piece. So good thing I've only got a 4-cylinder. So, you know, that would get pricey the bigger the engine you have. But anyway, those are the ones I bought because these are a original equipment manufacturer for this engine. These engines come with either a Champion or NGK, and I opted for the NGK because these have the correct gap directly from the factory. The other thing I bought was some extensions, and I thought that you could buy just a single extension. They didn't sell them, so I had to buy a set, and the cheapest set were impact extensions. I'm not quite sure why that is, but that's what I bought because they were the cheapest option here. So quite a lot of money here. $40 here, well, $35 here, $50 on the plugs, $25 on a vacuum cleaner, which I may really not need. A lot of money when you really look at it, but it's not really a lot of money when you consider going and taking your vehicle to a mechanic and having this done by them. And before I get into that, let me go grab my coffee because I forgot I still have coffee from the drive over. I've got two little bummers. I am almost out of coffee, just got a couple sips left, and it is now raining, like they said it was going to. It is raining now, so that does mean that I'm not going to be able to do this repair, although I was thinking I wouldn't be able to do this because of daylight. Things like this do take me a little bit longer than most people do, so I probably need all the time that I can possibly get if I am going to tackle this myself. But I do just want to say that I am capable of tackling this myself, and so are you. One good thing about YouTube is there's a lot of information there, and I was actually able to find a pretty comprehensive video on replacing spark plugs here on YouTube that was just for my engine. So that was kind of cool that I was able to get a good overview of how to do it, as well as all the parts and all the tools that I would need to do the job. So if you need spark plugs or any kind of tune-up thing, please check YouTube. Look for a specific video for your vehicle. You're probably going to find one, and you can do this yourself. You're going to save quite a bit of money, and that's the story I do want to tell you here. I know that this is significantly less money for me to buy all the things that I need for this and to do this myself, because I just took the van in for an oil change last week, and I have been going to the dealer for that. This van has had a number of recalls and other little service bulletins that have needed to get taken care of that I can only get taken care of at the dealer. And so I've just been taking the van to the dealer because a lot of times when I take it in for an oil change, they just end up taking care of one of those other little recalls while I'm there. So that's why I've been going to the dealer. They are a little bit expensive, but like the dealer here in Eureka is pretty trustworthy, so I don't mind spending a little bit more money and having somebody I can sort of kind of trust a little bit more than some of these kind of fly-by-night oil change places. They kind of scare me a little bit. So when I took the van in to the dealer here last week, they did let me know that it was time to replace the spark plugs, which I was expecting them to tell me that. They did give me a price for it. They wanted an extra $500 to do this on top of the $100 for the oil change. And I thought that that was a bit excessive. Maybe you do too, but it's a lot of money. They handed me a sheet with what they were going to do for that $500, and I kept looking at it thinking, I must be missing something here. They are going to do something that I'm not seeing, but that was it. That was just replacing the spark plugs and checking my hoses. If I wanted to spend another $50 on top of that, they would check my belts too, which was pretty nice. You know, maybe that's worth it. But I just opted to go ahead and buy the tools that I needed and I will do this myself. Just I'm going to need a little bit more time than probably they will do it in, but but I know I can do this. I've done it in the past. The vehicles that I've done it for myself in the past have been a little easier to work on. So this is why I definitely want to just give myself enough time to get the job done. But I will do this once I get a day that I know I have enough time, daylight and not rain in the forecast. But you can do this too. So that's what I want to say here. We are all capable, especially because YouTube is got a treasure trove of information there. You will probably find exactly what you need to, just like I did for your specific vehicle. So take advantage of the information that we have at hand and save yourself a few dollars. I think this is, even with what I've spent here, I think this is going to be slightly less expensive than 500 bucks. Probably, anyway. That's all I have to say here today. I'm going to end this here, make myself some dinner, and, well, another cup of coffee too, probably. We all know that I'm going to make another cup of coffee. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.